Szurio and Ruet in Artificial Acceptance. Chapter 1. Szurio and Ruet were two 11-year-old friends from the small town of Rorix. It was their birthday, and today they would have the choice of their first Pokemon. Because Rorix was a new town in the region of Kanto, they would have the choice of Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur. Szurio loved the idea of having Charmander as his starter, because he loves fire, and has even been accused of being a pyromaniac before. However, Ruet has always been the counterpart of Szurio. He would love to start with Squirtle in the hopes of stopping Szurio if he tries to go too far. It had just gone noon, and the two received the phone call. It was Professor Oak. Oak was their local professor, and he had phoned to tell the two to go to his lab straight away to collect their very first Pokemon. They grabbed their bikes and headed straight out. It was only a short cycle to the lab. It was over a small hill to the east of Shurio's home, and then a small cobbly path to the door of their dreams. But they didn't want to delay anything. They refused to be late. Not today. The short cycle was over, and they had arrived at the lab, and the professor was waiting for them. But surprisingly there was no third person. Normally 3 people get to choose a starter, but today it was just Szurio and Ruet. This was confusing for them, but they couldn't care less, as this time they were overwhelmed. The professor began to speak, however. "Hello, boys. I'm afraid even though you two will receive your first Pokemon, the third person has not answered. I fear greatly for him, because his family has been targeted by Team Rocket. I'm scared as they might have interfered. I hope it's not too much to ask you boys to go look into it for me, is it?" Ruet gladly responded, "Of course not. Anything to help, to start our adventure." Szurio was reluctant. All he wanted to do was begin his journey. He decided it'd be good for the credit, so he followed Ruet to the boys' home. It was quite a long way there, so to pass the time the two talked a lot. Szurio, still being upset, grunted, "I don't see why it's our problem. If the boy is in trouble, why should we have to help? We don't even know his name." Ruet, apologetic, "True, Szurio, I'm sorry. But imagine this adventure. What a great way to start our journey, with a good old-fashioned Sherlock case." "You're just saying that, Ruet, because you've always been Oak's favourite. Ever since Red left, he's always looked at you to be the next champion." "Come on, you know that isn't true. Oak thinks of us both in the exact same way. I mean, you still got your Charmander, didn't you? But I deserved it, though." The two would love to argue more, however they arrived at the boys' home, but what they saw fooled them completely. Okay guys, that was me just narrating my first chapter, because I understand some people are lazy to read. I mean, I hate reading sometimes, it's boring. It's not boring, but it's tiring. But I only thought I'd do it in case either you have trouble reading or you don't want to read. If you have an idea how to make this better for, people listening, if you have an idea, put it in the comment section below. If not, go to fanfiction.net and like my story. No one out next week. Thank you for listening.